What up, everybody? Welcome back to the last video of the week before our 1K tomorrow and a general series of videos on decks that you can expect in the new Battle Style Zone format. Today I want to do a bit of a roguish deck that popped up in an online event on Limitless last night. It was really cool. A lot of interesting, an interesting backup strategy, as well as being able to attack your opponent with a lot of damage, and that is Shadow Rider. Shadow Rider all the way back from Chilling Reign, the original ones. So let's look at the VMAX and we'll look at the rest of the Pokemon and how they go together in this deck. So Shadow Rider has a crazy ability that says once your turn you may attach a Psychic Energy card from your hand to one of your bench Psychic Pokemon. All of them are Psychic except for Lumineon. If you do, draw 2 cards. It's draw power built in, so as long as you got an energy, you got a way to draw cards, and that is a pretty sick thing to have on a card. And the best part of that is it powers itself up, because this attack is 10 plus 30 more damage for each Psychic Energy attached to all of your Pokemon, so not just Shadow Rider. So there is the benefit of attaching to all your other Pokemon in play. So we do have the basic, which actually can be really useful. It is Shadow Mist. 10, during your opponent's next turn, they can't play any special energy or stadiums from their hand. So if you're playing against like the Control Mew deck that plays 4 double turbo, you could just Shadow Mist them into oblivion while popping a path into peak to play, which you will see when we get to the trainers. Then let's have a lost vacuum they can get rid of, but they cannot stop the first attack. And then for 3 colors, choose 2 of your opponent's Pokemon and put 5 damage counters on each of them. So against Lost Box, if you can get this like turn 2, I mean, there is no Scoop Up Net. Scoop Up Net is not a card that is legal anymore, so your opponent's kind of just forced to sit there and take that damage. So if you have a couple turns, because they didn't build up yet to their strong attack, you know, using Sableye or Giratina if they play that, and they still got to get cards in the Lost Zone, you can get a couple attacks out with the Shadow Rider to make that late game really good. Then we got the 2 Klefkis going on here. So those Pokemon's your active spot. Base Pokemon to play have no ability except for this card. So each card does affect your Lumineon, but if you start with this and you go second, your opponent, unless they have Canceling Clone or the Fusion Strike Energy on Genesect, really cannot get out of this. So you just kind of let it sit there. And do not underestimate Joust as a way to build up damage, make your attacks easier later in the game. It is 10, you discard all tools from your opponent's active. So if your opponent kind of like, I'll put my Tool Jammer on now, or any Vitality Band, whatever tool they want to put on their Pokemon, you can just knock that out while doing 10 damage. They still have to deal with your Klefki. So now we got Madwell. So Madwell's popping up because Gardevoir decks don't play like Switch, usually, and then like it's just one of those really good lock cards. Or if they got a random Pokemon and you looks like they ran out of Switch cards, or you just need to stall, it's really good. It does Tempting Trap to your opponent's next turn. The defending Pokemon can retreat, and it takes 90 more damage from attack. So it could be even a good way to like boss up a Pokemon, set it up for next turn if they can't retreat. You know, say maybe don't play a lot of Switch cards, because not a lot of lists are, unless you're like a Lost Box deck. You can set it up and then hit for a bunch of damage on the next turn. And it does do Bite for 90 for 3, which is fine if you got to use it, because you can easily power it up with your Shadow Rider if it's on the bench. Don't forget it does have to be on the bench, but it's a very good way to lock. I've played a couple games with Malwell on other decks, and Gardevoir benched the Greninja, and then you brought it up, and then you won the game because they couldn't get out of it. So we're going to move on here to Lumineon. Obviously, the setup Pokemon on the deck. When you play this Pokemon from your hand, search for supporter. It does not work if Klefki active. Do remember that? But it gives you support to get out of there. We cannot use Aqua Return. We're still good attack, puts it back in your deck, but not in this particular version. And then we got the Hatterene V, which will combo with your Klefki here. So it does do Horoscope. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. You may attach any number of energy cards to this Pokemon. Put the other cards back in order. It's not even bad. Like, if you have to attack with Hatterene, it's fine. You know, if it's like one of those, okay, it's what I got, it's fine. But the second attack, Teleportation Blast 80, and you switch with one of your bench, is what you're going to want to switch into that Klefki with. So if you can just got that lock going, you got hat keys, I guess. The key hat lock, I don't know what it's called. But it's super cool, and it's really cool to see Hatterene being played even outside the VMAX, which is one of my favorite cards. So we're going to move on to the trainer cards here. You got a pretty standard supporter lineup. You got the 3 research to help you draw early. I added a 4th one on accident, wrong button. You got Judge with your ability to have Shadow Rider draw, or if you got a lock on your opponent's kind of big hand, you could Judge cards they don't need back in their deck and disrupt them. You got the Arvins here. So we got the 2 Arvin in the deck, as you see the tools down there that we'll talk about in a second. But Arvin says switch your deck for an item and a tool. Remember, tools are no longer items. Reveal and put them in your hand so you can get your item, your Fire Crystal, Ultra Ball, Switch, whatever you need to get, and that tool, and then get your opponent. Then, of course, we got the 2 Boss's Order. No Serena, because you know Boss's Order is more effective against decks like Gardevoir. So you definitely want the Boss's Order. Just bring up that Pokemon. Like I said, if you notice they're maybe out of Switch cards, it's a long game, they're running out. You're like, I don't think they play more than 2 Switch. If you're in like a game 1, or if you're in a game 2 in a best of 3 situation, you kind of saw that most of their deck game 1, and you're like, oh, they don't play more than 3 Switch, or they only play 2 Escape Rope, whatever. You can hit the Mad button and then stall for whatever you need to win, or just lock them out of the game. Then we got the Clara. Choose one or both. Put up to 2 Pokemon from your disc pile in your hand, and or 2 basic energy. Just a great recovery. We don't have any rods legal yet, so this is what we're going with if you don't want to play Miriam. But with your ability to attach the Psychics really fast, Clara is the way to go. We got that 4 Flock Crystal. Search your deck for a Psychic energy card or basic Psychic Pokemon put in your hand. So just another way to get Pokemon on super fast, or just get you a way to draw 2 cards. It thins your deck, put the energy in, lets you draw 2 cards, immediate profit. You got the Ultra Ball, obviously. Evolution Incense is out of here, so we got to use more Ultra Ball in these type of decks where normally you would do a split of some form of Evolution Incense, but discard 2 cards to get a Pokemon, get those Shadow Riders in play. We got those 2 Switch because you just want to switch. You don't really want to start with Hatterene, not like or Madwell, kind of, I mean, sometimes you got to do the turn 1 Madwell, like, whatever, but not ideal there. But it also helps you Shadow Rider some of the bench and then switch and attack immediately. You got the Hisuian Heavy Ball. Look at your face down prize. You may reveal a Pokemon you find there, and put this card as a face down prize. Pretty simple there. We got the 2 Nest Ball to search for base on your bench. You got the Escape Rope, let you switch your Pokemon. Pretty nifty way to get out of a lock if you're paralyzed or something and you switch. It's just another way. It's like a weird debate, which is better, Escape Rope, Switch. It's kind of whichever you need. They both are good. Some situations, obviously, you're like, I hope it's a Switch, and it is Escape Rope, but I do like the split. You got the Pal Pad, put those supporters back in your deck, reuse them later. Let's use 3 to 4 Boss Order, and that's where we want to be at without having to play that many. I like the Phantom Waves. Put a special energy card for one of your opponent's Pokemon on the bottom of their deck. You get that V-Guard energy out of there, so you can do more damage, or you're playing against Mew. They did get the energy in play. You put that on the bottom. You hit them with the Shadow Rider basic, and boom, you're getting them. We do got a Pot Helmet. If Pokemon this card statue doesn't have a rule box, it takes 30 less damage from attacks. You pop that on your Klefki or your Mawile. Your Klefki's got a lot of HP. Your Mawile is even more annoying. Pretty sick there. We got the 4 Seal Stones. Pokemon statue, you can use it. Search your deck for a card. Pretty good. We don't have V-Star power in our deck, so 4 Seal Stone is where you're going to want to be. Then obviously we got the Choice Belt, do 30 more opponents active E. And don't forget, all these tools are searched for with Arven. So that's where Arven comes in super clutch there for us. Then we got 3 different stadiums to run out of the trainer cards. Paths to the Peak, I understand you run the abilities, but if you got the lock on with Hatterene, Klefki, or whatever, you're just a control deck now. And that's really cool and versatile for a deck to be able to do. Switch Path to the Peak, just locking in there. We obviously have 1 Beach Court. You sometimes just need Retreat, or let's use the Klefki Hatterene thing, boom, switch in and out, and Collapse Stadium. So Regieleki and Gardevoir decks do need like quite a big bench, so each player has to discard the 4 bench, cannot play another bench until the stadium, cannot have more than 4 bench until the stadium goes away. However, it is also good for getting rid of your damaged Pokemon, so if your opponent's playing Lost Box and they're going to set up for like a knockout Shadow Rider VMAX knockout, like whatever next turn, you can Ray and get rid of one of them and make your opponent take less prizes and mess up their strategy. And then we ran it out with 13 Psychic Energy. So that was the Shadow Rider deck list here. Played last night in the Limitless event. Did very well. I like the take on it. It's I can super attack and I can just be a control deck and a little bit of both going at the same time depending what your opponent's playing. I like the Pot Helmet to make your Klefki and Mawile live a little longer. I like the way it's built. I love Arven. It's like one of my favorite cards from the new set. I like the 3 different stadiums. It kind of keeps your opponent guessing. And if you have to get rid of your Path to the Peak, it's like really cool there. 13 energy seems really good. This is a very well-built deck. And I'm definitely going to add it to my collection. And after this video and work, I'm going to get some games in with it on the ranked ladder to see if we can grind there and get some wins with Shadow Rider. Definitely one of my cards that I'm like, man, I wish this card had seen more success than it did when that card first came out. It's kind of all I played. But with that being said, thank you for watching this video by Darkside Games. Tomorrow is their 1K, so if you're watching this on the 7th, it is on the 8th. It will be streamed to their YouTube and Twitch. I will be commentating it. It does start it starts at 11, probably 11:30, because it just takes a while to start tournaments. Thank you for watching this week, watching the different videos. Make sure you use that code POKE1K if you want to buy something on the website. All that information will be in the description of the video. The code does expire very soon, so make sure you get those order ins. And we will see everybody next time here at Darkside Games.